I'm Jason Hoffman. My goal is to help you have the confidence to just press go live. In my recent camera shootouts, the comparisons I've been doing between individual head-to-head cameras, it became evident that there were some features that needed to be compared between all three of the cameras. I just didn't have time to put in my individual head-to-head comparisons. So this one will include all three: the Mevo Start, the Emeet StreamCam 1, and the NearStream VM33. This one will include heat buildup, how it handles streaming in direct sunlight, distance from a travel router to the camera, how far can we set these up apart, battery life, how long will each of them stream, and then we'll look at some specs like field of view, which we didn't cover in the other comparisons. There are some other features at the end of this video that we'll get into. Now, for heat buildup, for those of us who stream outdoor activities, if we're streaming sports or if we're streaming weddings or if we're streaming concerts, summertime streaming is an incredible challenge when the weather is hot. I set these up to stream in direct sunlight, 95 degrees, and each camera reached over 140 degrees measured at the top of the camera case. The StreamCam 1 was the first to succumb to the heat, and it did so at about 2 hours 15 minutes. The Mevo Start was not long after that. It stopped streaming right around the 2.5 hour mark, but the VM33 made it to the goal of 3 hours in this streaming test. I will say the rear of the camera was too hot to touch at the end of this test. I don't know what the internals look like. I don't know what the arrangement is of the different components on the inside of that camera case are, but whatever was at the back was cooking. I could not keep my hand on it as I was taking it off of the mount. That being said, the M33 in the heat test was the clear winner as it streamed longer than either of the other two. The battery life test, though, was set up indoors. Controlling the temperature greatly increased the length of time these would stream. And for a lot of us, we do stream from a temperature-controlled setting. So it's a valid test to want to know how long can I rely on the built-in battery for each of these devices. The VM33 was able to stream a little over 4 hours. I believe their specs are touting 6, and it didn't quite make that. I will say I did a stream test not long after I received this unit, and it was consistent with the results of that test. A little over 4 hours for the VM33. The Mevo Start lasted the next longest in this test. It was able to stream over 6 hours, and this was one of my cameras that I've had for years. It's one of my original Mevo Start cameras, not one of the new units that I could have pulled out and tested. So for this to stream over 6 hours on a battery that's well used, I thought was pretty impressive. 6+ hours on the Mevo Start. The StreamCam 1 was the surprise to me in this group, streaming for 8 hours, 38 minutes. Now, they do say it's an 8-hour battery life. That's what their specification sheet says on their website. So I shouldn't have been quite so surprised, but the Emeet StreamCam 1 is definitely the winner in the battery performance test. Now, the one I was looking forward to the most, getting to test the distance, the range of these cameras. How far can we set these cameras up away from a travel router? If I'm going to try to stream a baseball game, knowing that center field is going to be 325, 350 feet from home plate, can I get a camera to reliably connect wirelessly out there to my Slate travel router? Now, it's a Wi-Fi 6 router, and its specifications are impressive. It has a greater range than what we're used to having of an old Wi-Fi 4 router. I will go ahead and say this. Wi-Fi 7 is going to stretch that range even farther. It's going to increase the speeds even more. Those are coming soon. I've already seen some home mesh units with Wi-Fi 7 in them hit the market. That's going to be another great jump for us as we try to get these cameras to communicate with our router further and further away. Back to our test. There are a lot of baseball streamers who would love to be able to mount that camera in center field and catch that over the shoulder pitcher, catcher, batter shot zoomed way in from out there. I have great news from this test. Some of these cameras are impressive in their ability to stretch quite so far. So the setup was all wireless. The iPad was connected to the Slate AX 1800 on the 5 gigahertz band because it's close and because the 5 gigahertz is faster. And then I wanted my iPad to be able to talk to the router at a much faster speed. On the 2.4 gigahertz side, which is a longer range but not quite as fast, I was able to connect my camera one at a time. I'm not going to congest my router on a test, so I just connected one camera at a time, and then I took the camera off the mount and took off walking. I left the iPad and the router at one end of the field, and I took the camera with me to the other end of the field. The field that I'm testing on is 300 feet wide, a full 100 yards from where I set up to where I stopped walking. And I tried the Emeet StreamCam 1 first. Now, I know that I have said on video before that I wouldn't trust a 2.4 gigahertz connection with a live stream. And that was true under Wi-Fi 4, but this Wi-Fi 6 router is able to push 574 megabits per second on the 2.4 megahertz side. The 5 gigahertz is able to push 1,201 megabits per second. Theoretical speeds, I get it, but 575 megabits per second is fast enough to do a quality stream, and 2.4 gigahertz gets me out there far enough to maybe mount it center field. So I started with the Emeet StreamCam 1 and began walking across this field. As you can see in this shot, I'm just walking and talking and going across the field until I get to the point out here where this little exit sign is. I stop in the shade, turn around, and just keep talking. I'm recording on this particular camera. I am 300 feet away, and as you can see, the Emeet StreamCam 1 held a perfectly fine connection all the way out and all the way back, and I admit I was surprised. I have viewed this little camera as the budget option for live streamers who are just getting started, maybe even an indoor camera, but for it to be able to go all the way out there and catch that was impressive. When we talk about field of view, you may see a case for maybe taking the Emeet StreamCam 1 and bringing it into your live stream setup. Okay, the next camera was the Mevo Start. And I've done this test with the Mevo Start before with limited results, but I'm remembering that when I was doing a distance test with the Mevo Start before, I was carrying my iPad with me. And so the limiting factor may have actually been the connection between the iPad and the Slate AX 1800, not the router and the camera. So this time, I think I got it right. I left the iPad with the router, took off walking with the Mevo Start, got out to my 300-foot mark, and sure enough, the Mevo Start still holds a perfectly fine connection. It is not dropping frames. It is not glitching out. I'm not getting green bars. I'm getting a real live 300 foot away quality connection out of the Mevo Start. So I finally get to the NearStream. I connected to my travel router and I took off across the way. I walked that same path. I turned around in the same spot and I got the same results. The VM33 performed perfectly at 300 foot. I've been told they are planning to add NDI to this camera. It's on their roadmap. Can you imagine taking this camera in a combination with either of these other cameras and putting them in top director, having the NearStream mounted at center field, giving you that over-the-shoulder shot that is zoomed tightly in to pitcher, catcher, and batter, and having that part of your stream? That would be an incredible addition to anybody's baseball or softball live stream. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, honorable mention in this roundup goes to the Ulanzi J12 microphone, which performed at 300 feet just as well as these cameras did. It's done a great job catching audio today. If you don't have a Ulanzi J12 USB-C microphone set up, it's a great thing to throw in your bag. Doesn't cost a whole lot, but produces really good sound. So as I'm editing this video, I realized that recording and streaming may be a little bit different, and I need to make sure the streaming that we need is available at the 300 foot mark, like we said the recording was, just so we're sure I'm going to run the same 300 feet, not exactly the same 300 feet because it's dark. Because it's dark out that way. All right, so I'm 310 feet from where I started. We'll see if this was a successful live stream or not. We'll head back up there. Now, depending on where it light tells me I am. Yeah, just over 310 feet right here. All right, so we'll see if that was a successful trip down the way. Line of sight, I can see right down there where we are. A little bit over 100 yards should get us just about what we need. 315 feet I can make work on. So comparing some specifications that aren't really a test, we look at field of view. For the Emeet StreamCam 1, our field of view is going to be 90 degrees, which may mean this is the perfect one to put behind the plate. Catch first and third. Its field of view is a little bit wider than the Mevo Start, which comes in at 84 degrees. Now I know that the distance between the backstop and home plate is different with every field. The farther away it is, the more you can catch of the infield. So 90 degrees compared to 84 is a benefit. The field of view on the NearStream VM33 is 80 degrees, and they're going to start with a narrower field of view because they've got the optical zoom that they're trying to get punched into a farther distance. Now, access point mode is something that all of these cameras are going to offer, and that's going to give them the ability to connect to a smartphone or tablet cellular service if you don't have Wi-Fi in the area and still stream. Webcam mode is another feature that these cameras are going to have, and that's going to give you the ability to hook it up to your computer if you're at home and be able to use this camera for your Google Meets or your Zoom or your Skype calls. The physical dimensions of these three cameras are different, so you can see the size of the VM33 compared to the other two. The difference there is in profile. It is the ability to put it up close to a subject and it still kind of fade into the shot, not be in the way for the audience that's watching. None of them are so big that I would worry about that. The VM33 is the biggest and the heaviest of the group, but it's still a small enough footprint when you're in the audience behind it that you're not going to worry about that too much. And then there's some features that the Mevo has that the others don't. Keep in mind, the Mevo is in software development year 6 or 7. The other two are in software development year 1. And it shows. So the Mevo does, in fact, have NDI already built in to their line of cameras, into their software. Wireless webcam is a feature in the Mevo Start that is not available in the other two. They are a wired version of the webcam mode. The Mevo Start also has HEVC streaming to YouTube, and so you have half or less of the bandwidth load needed to get a quality stream out to YouTube or to Sideline HD. If you are streaming to either of those directions, you've got the ability to stream in HEVC, which cuts the bandwidth need in half and still maintains very high quality video. And then finally, the thing that the Mevo has that the others don't is static shot presets in their single cam app or their single cam mode. And what that gives you is all those places in your frame where you can zoom into, crop into without having to reset your shot. In Mevo's single cam app, I can set up 9 of those and just tap the screen and send it to a different part of the screen. It's a beautiful thing that works incredibly well. We're hoping will come into the multicam side of their app as well. For these 3 cameras, have you seen enough from the VM33 or from the StreamCam 1 to put up with the software development ramp up? Or are you going to hold off and stick with the Mevo until they've proven themselves and then maybe make the investment there? Let me know in the comments.